If we met a younger version of you, who would we have experienced? And where would we have experienced them? Our stats in this country are high. I think globally they are high. And these are reported stats. We know that there are so many cases, so many lived experiences that go unseen, unheard, unbelieved, unreported, and undocumented, right?
When I started opening up to my friends, to other ladies about the experience that happened to me, that they were also a foundation of trust and openness was created. That's when they were also safe enough to speak to me about these experiences. Governments and many organizations and institutions need to also explore preventative measures for such work.
Some of the policies exist, but the execution lets us down, right, as a nation. If I don't have access to basic needs, a statement as careless as, why doesn't she leave?
Yes.
Actually doesn't contextualize, or, I've had clients where leaving meant you're going to die.
It's not easy to leave something where when you look around you, there is no place to go.
The issues that women experience at the hands of men and the issues that men experience at the hands of women sometimes need the very intervention of that opposite gender. Some of the approaches is teaching us as women how to survive the perpetrator versus teaching the perpetrator not to be a perpetrator.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Dumelang, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Blooming But I Fly. Thank you so much for last week's engagements. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the comments and just your interest in what we're doing here and growing us. Today, I have a dear friend. Can I call you friend?
Yes, of course.
Kgopotso Radebe, who we're going to speak about a very serious topic, right?
Absolutely.
Very serious topic that is dear to your heart, and I think is dear to many South Africans' hearts, my heart as well. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to engaging more in this topic and just talking a lot more about it because it's so important.
Don't be nervous. Kgopotso was saying she's nervous off camera. Don't be nervous. We're so chilled here at home. We're so chilled. And I think we have a very kind and loving and warm community.
Absolutely.
I call them the bloomers. They haven't given me the permission to call them, but I've decided that's what we are.
The bloomers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Beautiful.
let me introduce you. So you are a C20 Equitable Health WG lead. Ne? I was saying offline, you're going to have to explain all these things for people because there's a lot of... You are an MSOE Young Leader 2024. You are an FFIG Emerging Leader 2024. You are a UN Creator of the Future, an OFA Champion, a IYC Advocate. You're a BCom graduate. You're the founder of Abundance in Light, nonprofit empowering, supporting, and assisting women and children who are gender-based violence victims and survivors in South Africa.
Yes.
You're a partner, you're a daughter, you're a friend. Have I missed anything?
No, you covered it all. You definitely covered it all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell.
That's the professional you.
The professional.
That's the professional you. So before we get behind these titles and all these advocacies and your passions and the wonderful work you're doing for us in this country, tell us about Kgopotso, the person, the woman behind the things.
Yes. Kgopotso is very soft, gentle, soft-spoken. I love laughing. Bubbly. Always down for a good, memorable time. and yeah, very empathetic more than anything, sensitive, resilient, and open.
Okay.
Yes.
Very open spirit.
Open spirit, absolutely.
And if we met a younger version of you, who would we have experienced? And where would we have experienced them?
That's a very interesting question. That's a very interesting question. If you had met a younger version of me, I believe it would have been somewhere out there in the world, just traveling the world,
Okay.
making a lot of noise, creating art, very loudly, and possibly even advocating the way that I am,
Okay.
but in a different way. So using activism instead of speaking like I do now and actually going on the ground. Yes, that's the younger me.
That's the younger you. Where did you grow up?
In the township of Guatemala.
Okay.
Yes, that's where I grew up. So basically, I was born in Davidson. That's where my parents' first home was. And then we moved to Guatemala, I think when I was 2 or 3 years old. And then I spent most of my childhood, teen years, and adult years in Guatemala.
And how was that? How was Guatemala for you?
Guatemala is very interesting, still is interesting. I do visit home quite often. There's a lot of room for growth. Guatemala has a lot of individuals who are very talented, who can actually change the world in so many ways. It's just unfortunate when we look at the challenges such as poverty, certain lifestyles that are being explored by our young people, and just service delivery in general from our current government. There's room for growth, but I believe with the generation of young people that we have right now who are willing to speak up and not be silenced, there's a lot more that will come out of Guatemala and beyond.
Well, with people like you who are assisting us, absolutely. I see it, I believe it. So how does that young girl from Guatemala have or develop a passion for, advocacy, women and children, gender-based violence?
So that came about from just being me. Every part of my journey within advocacy is a story of my life. It's not even my life only, but those who are able to find comfort and safety within the work that I do and how I serve in our general community. So them being able to open up, I've been able to learn through their stories and be able to share my own story and heal through doing that as well. Yes. So service and purpose more than anything. Because just from a young age, I've always known that I've prayed to God to get a sense of direction as to what to do in life and for Him to use me as a vessel. And that's how basically everything came about. I was able to find myself through adversity, and a whole lot of random experiences that came about. And through that, I was able to heal myself and also heal others. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's a personal and observed experience with the topic.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
And what age are we talking in terms of now deciding I'm going to actually intentionally be an activist and intentionally focus on gender-based violence?
So I would say the official age was 23.
Okay.
But before the age of 23, I've been doing the work, but unaware of not knowing what advocacy is, not understanding what activism is. I used to speak up in rooms. I used to call people out. And I wasn't aware that, oh, this is actually part of the work. I've been living in my purpose. It's just now that I've been in spaces where I've been exposed to understanding that there is a title for such. So it's part of who I am, what I've been doing, and basically my purpose in life.
It's such a brave, I mean, our stats in this country are high. I think globally they are high, and these are reported stats. We know that there are so many cases, so many lived experiences that go unseen, unheard, unbelieved, unreported, and undocumented, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite a brave endeavor to take for somebody who seems so calm, so quiet, so where does that bravery come from? Because I think a lot of us, especially in this country, would want to advocate a lot. I think a lot of people do advocate and do a lot of work, but I think I also interact with people who do it very in the background. You're very in the forefront of this.
So the bravery, I would say, comes from God. And as I mentioned in the beginning, when looking to find my purpose in life and asking God, what is my purpose? I was able to identify that it comes from being open to what had happened to me. For instance, there was a period of my life where I went through really challenging mental health issues. I had the support that I needed from my family, close family and friends. I was very closed off for quite a long time. And after being closed off and receiving the help, but also realizing that there's so many people around me who live in the township, so many other girls who don't know certain things, or certain things such as depression, such as what gender-based violence is. I was able to take the time to, first of all, be grateful that I'm privileged enough to have a supportive family. I'm privileged enough to get medical health where I was able to identify the root cause of everything. Time was taken, and it was a very intentional journey of coming back to myself and being more self-aware. And with that being said, it just made things a lot more easy, because I was able to face the challenge head on, not have to stress too much about the external noise, because it's always there. Even when things were good, it was always there. And it was when I started opening up to my friends, to other ladies about the experience that happened to me, that they were also a foundation of trust and openness was created. That's when they were also safe enough to speak to me about these experiences, and for them to even say, oh no, I wasn't aware of such. I didn't know how we can go about getting help for abuse. I wasn't aware that I'm in a relationship with someone who's abusing me emotionally, financially, psychologically, you know? So having been open enough through lived experience, it has made it easier for others to do that. And I actually believe that this bravery comes from God. There's no other source where I can say it comes from, and it's taken many years of prayer, fasting, and being intentional about finding my purpose in life.
Well, this is exactly why I feel it was important for you to come here, right? I don't think that this topic, we can ever speak about it enough. I don't think that we are there yet. We're definitely not there yet with the high rates of femicide and all of that. And you're talking about the definition of gender-based violence. I think sometimes for some people, they're only aware of one way or lens of looking at it, right? It's like physical violence, but you're mentioning the psychological, the emotional, the financial, and many young men and women may not realize that they in that situation where they are, maybe if they're not out of the situation yet, victims. And I think once you become a survivor, it comes with awareness. I don't know, do you see it that way? Would you define it that way?
Definitely. Once you can name it, once you are aware of what it's done to you and how you are reflecting and reacting to it, that's when you're able to be in your survivor mindset. Unlike when you're a victim, as you mentioned, there are those who are victims but are unaware. So it comes with a certain level of awareness.
Because it can be normalized.
It definitely can.
Well, not it can be, it is normalized. I think the high rates are because it's so normalized.
Yes, yes. And it takes quite a journey for it takes a lot of us. It's a journey. It takes community. It takes intent and a lot of empathy for us to move forward and unlearn some of the things that we've been exposed to, whether it be from our environment, how media also shows it. Because gender, for instance, most people view gender-based violence as an act that only happens to women and children. It doesn't only happen to women and children. Men are victims. Boys are victims. The queer community are also victim to it. So it's a human issue that we also need to be conscious and sensitive towards, and not just ignore it or try and plaster it and act as if no. Yes, we are aware of this, the stats, but what are we doing? Having all this information, are we taking preventative measures? And if we are, what are those preventative measures? So, I feel as though governments and many organizations and institutions need to also explore preventative measures for such work.
In your experience, what might those preventative measures be? What are we needing to further resource that might already exist? And what do you feel is still missing that is needing to support this area?
So, there are organizations that are in existence that support survivors and victims, but not many look at the preventative side of things. So, what are we doing Are we not educating young boys? Are we not educating young girls enough about such behaviors? How is it that we're not incorporating a syllabus of some sort within early childhood development,
Okay.
where we are very intentional about not only mitigating but making sure that we eliminate gender-based violence? Once we start in the early childhood development stages, we're able to develop young girls, boys who are very aware of such behaviors and who can make conscious choices in the future to make changes in general. For them to also teach the communities, the older generations. Let there be intergenerational programs that are created that where young people and older generations can discuss and brainstorm and come up with ideas that will impact from a grassroots level. Not only policy, but grassroots as well, because everything starts on the ground. We can write beautiful, articulated policies, but without execution, then it's very difficult to achieve the ultimate goal.
Which my perception is some of the policies exist, but the execution lets us down, right, as a nation. Do you find in your work that you get a lot of pushback with this sort of ideas of, let's engage early childhood development? Or do you feel that there are other reasons why we're not there yet, that we're not preventing at a grassroots level?
I believe that there are some reasons that are pushing us back. I think most people, we are a diverse people for starters. We have our different beliefs. And when you introduce something, or let's say leadership introduces something, it's the how that plays a huge role, because that's what impacts everything essentially. So how something is introduced basically affects the end result. So when we're talking about creating programs, for instance, or programs where there's intergenerational collaboration, in what spaces, we need to be intentional about the spaces. We need to be intentional about how we go about the facilitating the program in general. Are we including elements such as empathy? Are we including elements such as compassion? And with creating leaders in general, what style of leadership are we leaning towards? Because I believe that in order for us to achieve most of our goals, we need to somehow have a heart and put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, rather than assuming that this is what they need and just categorize everybody in one box and just make it a tick box exercise. In comparison to actually being intentional enough to do the research, get researchers on the ground, work with grassroots organizations. This is from a government perspective, where they can work with nonprofits such as Abundance and Light. There are others that are doing the work already, such as Power. There's Women for Change. Let us not only leave it on a digital scale, but let's actually go humble ourselves and be able to see what other people's lived experiences are, in order for us to intentionally help intentionally create the change that we ultimately want to achieve.
You've spoken about compassion and empathy twice now. And I think, on social media or when certain cases happen to get traction, right? These things happen every day, but those instances where a case gets traction, you can sometimes see the lack of empathy. The why doesn't she leave? Why doesn't he leave? Or men must speak up. From your experience with working with individuals on the other side of the experience who are actually struggling to leave, can you sort of like psychoeducate us on why somebody may stay, in an abusive situation? That it's not as simple as why doesn't Hopelang leave? Oh, but she, I don't want to mention the global case that we're all following now, but there is a global case, and the comment section for me was so damaging, right? And it can often come from the same gender that the survivor is, whether it's a male or it's a female. If it's a male, you see the comments are so damaging from males themselves. When it's a female, the lack of support comes from females themselves. Can you just give us a bit of psychoeducation around the women and children that you've worked with that have stayed, and what would make an individual stay? And
Background
yeah.
Background plays a huge role. Environment. I mean, there's a saying that goes, you are a product of your environment. I agree and I disagree with it to a certain extent, because there comes a point in your life where, as individuals, as much as you're exposed to an environment, some people, it clicks in their brains that, no, this is toxic. Or I need to actually improve myself to make things better for.
The Dreamstream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
Not only myself, but everybody in my life. So there's that element that we need to look at. What we consume on a daily basis, the media that we consume, the types of friends that we associate ourselves with. We need to ask ourselves simple questions as, how do I feel when I'm in this space, when I'm engaging with Hopelang, for instance? Is Hopelang building me in a diary, or is she building me, or is she breaking me? Is she pouring into me, helping me to become a better version of myself, or is she tearing me down or steering me in the wrong direction? Even with watching certain shows on TV, are they educational enough? Are they making me a better person, or is it just entertainment? So it all boils down to that. And it's unfortunate that most of the girls that we work with are from such broken families where you would find a 9-year-old heading a household where the mother is not active because she's an alcoholic, for instance, and she's always out drinking instead of supporting her children and being there. This is something that this woman has been exposed to from previous generations. So it's a generational challenge that needs to somewhat be explored. There is a lot of research around it, but as I mentioned, it takes that one person deciding that, okay, this is the environment that I'm in, this is what I'm exposed to, but I see that there's other opportunities out there. I see that if I continue with school, I'm able to achieve goals. I'm able to go to varsity, or even if I'm not able to go to varsities, there are people out there who will see me continue going to school, doing the best that I can to become a better version of myself. And then those individuals can invest in me in any way that they possibly can. Whether it be scholarships, pay for their studies, or maybe offer them a job. So these are things that I've seen firsthand growing up in the township. Even some of the stories that the girls would come sharing, poverty has hit us so hard as a people, to a point where some girls even have to transact themselves just to get something as simple as a menstrual product. So we still have a long way to go, and it's very heartbreaking to experience such, to see such happen. But then again, I am hopeful that through such platforms, we're able to get the message out there and be able to also get the support, so that we're able to help those girls, to help the boys stay in school, educate them about consent, educate them about what's good touch, what's bad touch, educate them about how respect in general, what is respect, because it is quite a sensitive topic, and not everybody is tactful about delivering it, or even conducting it in general.
I think you've touched on many aspects. So I think from a psychological point of view, right, or background, I say this even to clients, that I recognize that even that information that I hold, and that people in my spaces and your spaces hold, is such a point of privilege. And I think the saddest thing is that it shouldn't. It shouldn't be. I agree with what you're saying, but as you were speaking, I kept thinking, sure, it is such a point of privilege, the insight you hold, because I'm imagining an individual who, for that to happen, you would need some sort of intervention or difference. You would need the luxury of being able to be exposed to something different, right? Which the majority of people here don't have. I think sometimes we experience our lives in such a bubble, right? Like me and you come from not perfect backgrounds, but I think the fact that we have access to information and we've had it for as long as we've had, you can forget the other majority of reality that people are living in, right?
Yes.
Which makes me sad. Which makes me sad. It shouldn't be. Education, insight, mental health provision, shouldn't be a privilege.
Yes.
Hence an episode like this where I'm like, okay, I feel limited in a room where I'm just seeing you one-on-one or group of 10.
Yes.
Right? You need more platforms. The more, if this reaches X number of people, it's not the whole country, but that's something, right? And if your platform and somebody else's platform, education is such a privilege in 2025, and I think it's so frustrating that we're still talking about let's educate, let's access knowledge, and holding the empathy for then the contextual issues that you're bringing. If I need to, if I don't have access to basic needs, a statement as careless as "why doesn't she leave?"
Yes.
actually doesn't contextualize, or I've had clients where leaving meant you're going to die. Right?
Yes.
I've had to sit in a room where I had to decide whether I take that woman to a police station or that would be a cause for death because there's no family support. Where's she going to sleep? Right? And she can only stay with me for so long. Then there's ethical boundaries. And so even like systematically the disappointment and the support, or how overloaded NGOs are and shelters are and under-resourced they are. So I think it's a very careless statement.
It is. It is. It's not easy to leave something where when you look around you, there is no place to go. So we have a long way to go as people.
And then I sometimes delve into a very risky, and I recognize that it's a very risky topic or way of phrasing it, where once you are out of a situation, and I suppose this is the flip side of what you were saying, yes and no, which you agree and disagree with.
Yes.
There is something about asking a very difficult question to yourself. And with my clients, I'll phrase it as, what about me, where I come from, what I've been exposed to as the norm, be it what you were saying, what media I consume, what maybe my community mindset is, what resources we've had, what kind of education we've had in terms of what's been spoken to me that has then landed, made room for that kind of situation to land. I'm very. Do you see? I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want a tone of blame. I also in my work don't use things like I attract that woman or man. I find it very blaming, whilst treading on accountability and autonomy. Right?
Yes. Yes.
I think words are going to. I'm trying for words not to fail me. What do I mean? If I am a survivor as Hopelang of gender-based violence, and I am blessed enough to make it to the other side of being a survivor, right?
Yes.
The healing journey, right?
Yes.
Where I seek support and I get it, an intervention. There's something about, I live in such a damaged world of predators and people who don't have the interest to take care of everybody.
Yes.
Okay. There will be people who want to abuse me. That's just the sad world we live in.
Yes.
What is in my control to try and prevent that as much as possible? Things like, can I equip myself with tools like boundaries?
Yes.
Can I equip myself with tools like knowing how to see red flags? Okay, I always say I get two kinds of clients in my room. One who genuinely don't know how to identify red flags. Like I don't see it. The charm, the manipulation, the tone of how you're speaking to me, the controlling behavior. I don't know these things.
Yes.
This is where information is privilege. I know it because I'm a psychologist.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't, would I know it? if I came from where I came from. Then you get another type of person who I see the red flags, and what do I do with them? I let them in, and I accommodate them. And I think the hard question I'm talking about is understanding what in my environment has made me susceptible to accommodate those things. Because that is the wound you're going to have to heal.
Yes.
It's not going to solve that we live in an abusive world. It's not going to solve that somebody's going to target you. But I think it maybe sometimes can make somebody feel less helpless in their situation. Like sometimes things can feel like life is happening to you and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about situations where sexual abuse happens and like, I'm not saying, oh, you could have just said no. I'm talking about where you still want to date, you still want a romantic partner, you still want to engage in the world and socialize. Like you were saying earlier, is Kgopotso the right friend to be around?
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
Do I know how to say no to Kgopotso on a friendship level in general? To say, I don't want to be around these places, people and things because they make me vulnerable and susceptible to certain things that I no longer want to live through. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I love that you mentioned boundaries. It also ties back to being self-aware, which you're mentioning. Self-awareness comes with a lot of accountability, taking accountability for what you've been exposed to, what you are taking in within your environment, and the thoughts that you believe about yourself and the influences that create those thoughts.
Where would that self-awareness come from though? You know what I mean? Do you see why I say I hold empathy and compassion for us as a society? Because you're not wrong. What you're saying is absolutely sensible and right. But I think it is too heavy on an individual. We do need structural support.
Yes.
The only reason I have self-awareness is because I went to the kind of school that even had that vocabulary to say, as young girls, when you navigating this is what you do, right?
Yes.
And I think my heart breaks at a point where I can't believe we're not there yet for everyone yet.
Which is why, I tried to do the work as much as possible through South African civil society. I'm grateful to now be serving as a working group lead for the C20 banner.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah.
I was asking you offline.
Yes.
What are these? I Googled them, but like for the audience, like King C20 Equitable Health Working Group Lead.
Yeah. So C20 is civil society. It's under the G20 government structures. As you know, most people know, in South Africa is leading the G20 processes this year. So it's 20 of the most influential economics within the world, 20 countries. And so there's Brazil, there's India, Indonesia, Russia, there's Australia, the African Union. Yeah, the African Union recently joined. The European Commission as well has joined, and many other countries that are part of the G20s. So they influence a lot of the economy, how the economies run in the world. So I'm under the civil society side of things. So we influence policy within the space, and with drafting the policies, we've taken such things into account, where I'm grateful for the privilege to be able to speak up for those who can't necessarily be in the rooms or share that this is what we would love to see. So it's been interesting to learn that some things we have a long way to go, and it's only just South Africa, not only South Africa, but other countries within the global south are experiencing the same problems that we have, which is why we, within the Equitable Health group, there's a subgroup. I'm under the working group Sustaining Domestic and Global Financing for Health. We have suggested that mental health be taken into consideration, where instead of having a vertical approach to health systems and funding, we need to change from that and be more inclusive. Inclusive in the sense where we can't only focus on HIV prevention, malaria, but we need to also include the mental health aspect of it all. Because even survivors of HIV are experiencing mental health challenges. You discover that you're HIV positive. It's not something that you easily navigate. Everything is mental in most cases when you actually sit down and think about it. If I'm unable to take care of my mind, what am I birthing? How am I showing up in the world in general? And how am I consuming even some of the information that I'm being provided with? So that's why it's been so important for us to highlight that we need to have an integrative approach rather than it being focused on certain elements of health. We are aware of the certain elements, we are aware of the challenges, but then we need to also go back to root causes where it can affect a person a lot more emotionally and mentally if we also don't take care of that. Where we also need to explore going into communities and educating them that it's not ideal to be diagnosing a person and saying, because this person is moody, they've got bipolar. You can't be throwing words around like that without having proper knowledge of what that is. And not knowing whether that person has even been diagnosed by a professional. So we need to take the time to be empathetic enough, educate our communities about the different types of effects, the different types of mental health issues, and the effects in general. So, which is why advocacy for me has went as far as exposing myself in such spaces where I'm so grateful I'm able to speak up and come up with solutions as a young person from the township of Guatemala, who has a lived reality of mental health issues, who has seen its effects in general, who has seen the ripple effects of poverty affecting one's mental health and belief in general. So, yeah.
Because you work both in a domestic and global scale, right? And you've interacted, and some of the countries you're mentioning aren't third world, they're developed countries.
Yes.
What are the similarities? Because I think we can also feel like it's only us. because it's so high here and because it's so experienced every day, you know. What are the similarities, the contributing factors, you've spoken about that a lot, to gender-based violence that aren't necessarily unique to only poverty and the factors that may be unique to South Africa in comparison, compared
Yes, compared.
to a developed country?
So the similarities, I would say, is mindset.
Okay.
Mindset, how one perceives a certain behavior compared to another. We all are diverse people. We respond to things differently. We come from different cultures, and you know, when you get to see both sides and being able to engage with other women from abroad and other men from abroad and engaging with men and women here at home, you're able to see that, okay, mindset is firstly the biggest barrier for people. Secondly, empathy. And I keep on emphasizing on empathy because there's different classes. Life is, it comes with as a hierarchy, if we're being honest. There are those who are more privileged than others. And when you find yourself being more privileged, but what are you doing with your privilege if you're not helping somebody else? Yes, you're benefiting, but what sense of purpose are you fulfilling at the end of the day when we look at it from that perspective? So having been in the global space, engaging with other change makers and leaders, you're able to see that it ultimately, we have the same challenges, whether it be corruption, whether it be abuse, gender-based violence and everything. It's just that how they manage and execute their policies, as mentioned earlier, is a lot different. And that's where we as a country who has the highest can learn from other countries that, okay, this is how their justice system operates. Maybe we can take a page or two from how they conduct things, how they prioritize cases such as gender-based violence and femicide. So yeah, there is, we can talk about it so much. It's a topic that can actually go on for the whole day if we're being honest. But if we as a country are not looking to also explore and learn from other countries, then we still have a long way to go. And we, instead of getting better, we can instead get worse if we don't act.
So talk me through your NGO, Abundance and Light. What is your vision for that NGO? I think different NGOs tackle different things. What is your vision? What are you working towards? What would you like a long-term outcome to be? What are you targeting?
Yes, I love that question. Thank you for asking it. So our vision and goal is to empower and support women and children who are gender-based violence survivors and victims. What we are currently doing is running a number of workshops in schools where we educate girls about their menstrual cycle. We're empowering them with not only products but dignity kits where it goes beyond just it being a distribution of menstrual products, but it's well curated and put together with love and thorough intention and education that accompanies it. We have a Balaleruna program where we educate girls, boys, girls, in fostering a reading culture where we work with schools and the library and ensuring that our young people stay in schools, that they have a hunger and thirst to become better individuals through educating themselves and being exposed to what opportunities are out there as they read. We have Ask the Doctor series where you've been a guest. Thank you so much for, sharing your knowledge and wisdom with society. As you mentioned, not many people are privileged to have the knowledge that you impart with others. And so it's been exciting to run these programs.
The Dream Stream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
But we want to ultimately build a shelter.
Okay.
Not only in Johannesburg, not only in South Africa, but expand across the world, across Africa, across the oceans, and go globally, where we have different sustainable shelters where victims and survivors can come into an abundance and light home and actually acquire healing and come out more independent, able to self-sustain, and be able to thrive in community.
You speak about education a lot.
Yes.
How would you encourage somebody who will receive this episode but we're doing all of that and we are educating ourselves and there's no jobs and there's no sustainability and the economy feels like it's not on our side and they've just given up? How would you encourage somebody who... I encounter that a lot. What is the point of getting educated? What is the point of this knowledge? We have the knowledge, we're struggling. Angry, they're disappointed, they're defeated, they're tired.
My words of encouragement for people who are experiencing that, especially young people, because as a country we have the highest unemployment rate. There are opportunities out there. It's just where you're looking. Where is it that you're looking? Are you also being intentional? Are you taking the time to do enough research as well? Are you exposing yourself in spaces? Are you volunteering? So in most cases, I've been volunteering for the organizations that you've mentioned. The C20, I'm a volunteer. I'm a volunteer for the United Nations Foundation. I'm a volunteer for Our Future Agenda. All these organizations just require you to volunteer. And I know it may not be easy, to volunteer. Not everybody is privileged enough to volunteer, but the fruits that it comes with and the opportunities and doors that volunteering opens up for people it's amazing. I've met young people in the UN space who volunteered, and they are from the poorest backgrounds but are now thriving internationally. They live in global communities and are able to live lifestyles that are beyond what their dreams were initially. So there's power in volunteering. Don't give up. You know, even when there's a sense of feeling as though I'm tired, I've been doing this over and over. Ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Where is it that I'm not looking where there's opportunity? Don't fear asking questions. Ask people questions. Gain understanding. If you don't know something, be teachable. Have a teachable spirit. And you won't be surprised when things out of nowhere or you get headhunted because of what it is that you're putting out there, rather than complaining and sharing that energy of negativity and complaint. Change your mindset and use that energy in something such as helping somebody else or volunteer, because there are so many opportunities for volunteering. Paid, some are paid, some are unpaid. So it's a matter of where are you looking? What is it that you are consuming? Are you engaging with people in spaces on social media? If you're only going to be looking at celebrities, are those celebrities sharing opportunities that other organizations are offering? Which type of celebrity are you following? Which type of influencers are you following? Are they influencers that are able to help you open doors for yourself? So it boils down to that accountability topic that we touched on earlier. What am I doing? And how can I do it differently?
I hear you.
Thank you.
I hear you. I mean, what I'm hearing is, whilst there are factors that are against you or maybe against you and structural things that you may not currently have control over, asking yourself the question of which factors can I control? And we can ever only control ourselves, right?
Yes.
You do have control over you follow Kgopotso or not. You do have control over the tough humility it takes to volunteer without resources and you don't have an income. And being prayerful and hopeful that by volunteering in this space, somebody will see me, hear me, and open up a door. I'm hearing a lot of faith, a lot of... I suppose it's also like the conversation of job hunting, right? I always say you get to take a break from putting out your CV because mentally it's exhausting, it's discouraging. And then, I don't know, things come together and that ounce of energy you have for 30 minutes that day or that week, you go back again. So I suppose in this aspect, it's the same thing. I did want to ask you earlier, do you feel that there is an imbalance between how many resources are put into men and women in GBV? Do you think that it's an imbalanced resource? I know it's a bit of a provocative question, but, you know, I think so I research a lot about absent fathers, Black absent fathers. And sometimes I get a lot of backlash in terms of why I am spotlighting men and men are the problem, and da 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 da. And I hear it. Okay, having been raised by an absent father myself, I can understand that. But I also feel like the problems that we experience as gender, right? The issues that women experience at the hands of men and the issues that men experience at the hands of women sometimes need the very intervention of that opposite gender. Right?
Yes.
So I don't know. How do you see it? Do you feel like I'm being unfair with that question?
It is a tough question. I won't lie. So when it comes to resources, to a certain extent, yes, there definitely is an imbalance. Hence, we are advocating for gender equality. We've seen throughout the years where men have been favored a lot more than women. It is evidence. There's so much research around it. And there's evidence that's been provided with regards to that. And we still have a long way to go with regards to gender equality.
Wait, sorry, just so that I understand you correctly, which way in terms of gender-based violence do you think the imbalance is? Which group do you think is more resourced?
Women in this sense, to a certain extent, but not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah.
They are under-resourced. We are under-resourced. But if we're being honest, is gender-based violence even resourced in general?
It's a fair statement. No, it's not.
It's not.
I think the reality is it's not.
It's not, which is why there's so many organizations, non-profits that are coming out and doing the work, which don't have enough funding. As we mentioned, shelters as well. They're under-resourced.
But my thing is also like, I suppose you're talking to the approach and the grassroots and how did we get you in the first place. I sometimes get a bit passionate about how some of the approaches is teaching us as women how to survive the perpetrator versus teaching the perpetrator not to be a perpetrator.
Yes. You see,
You get what I mean?
taking us to the beginning.
Yeah, it's teaching girls
And
what
boys.
to do versus raise your son to be, or educate that boy, or you know what I mean? To not have to be somebody I have to survive.
Yes. That's why we want the governments to implement programs or at least modules in schools where that is educated. Because not everybody is privileged enough to come from a home where they can be educated about such. Your normal and my normal may not be the same because we wear different shoes, we come from different backgrounds. So at least in a place like school, if such is educated, then our young boys can definitely be different because there's that influence of, oh, okay, this teacher actually taught us this. And there's evidence, there's research that they can see, that they can also take initiative and explore. So it's possible for us to have a different generation to come if we are very intentional about educating the boy child about what is right and what is wrong, including the boy child in conversations about gender-based violence and actually preventing gender-based violence and the effects of gender-based violence in general. And us having and normalizing these conversations with all genders will also create a foundation of trust where more can open up, more men can also open up, more boys can open up, more queer people can open up. And, as women, we can also have a better experience moving forward.
So if you are now talking to young people, right, what role do you think both young men and women play in dismantling systems that enable violence and silence? So whether it's the young woman advocating for young men who experience GBV, or where we're pulling in young men to say, help dismantle against women and children, where can they start?
Friends,
Okay, say more.
Friends, home, at home, speaking up, standing up for those who are victimized in situations. I cannot, as Kgopotso, watch, for instance, I'm just hypothetically speaking, Thabo beat you up as Kgopolang in my presence, and then I just watch, and if ever I am having a conversation or tea with another friend of ours, I just say, you know how they are, it's normal. I need to somehow stop Thabo, or because I see that, okay, Thabo can overpower the both of us, get someone else.
Because that's a reality, right? People, you hear
Yes.
many cases where people intervene and they die at the hands of trying to stop Hopolang from being beaten or being assaulted or whatever.
Yes.
But I'm hearing you say
Don't
that's what
be a
perpetuates the
viewer.
system. Don't be a viewer. Don't be passive.
Don't be passive at all. Do something.
And I think the conversations we have as peers
Yes.
perpetuate systems. Remember a few years ago there was and I don't want to get into that list. Hey, I don't want to be sued. But there was a list
Yes.
that was released, and it was like a whole thing for a couple of months. And again, you go to comment section and you hear the damaging feedback like,
Me too.
me too. Like, people don't call. Do you call out your friend? Kgopotso, your tone is disrespectful. Don't speak to him like that. Don't speak to her like that. And I think I've seen a lot of comments of the reason it's perpetuating is because the predator or the abuser is my friend. And I'm probably an abuser myself.
True. And silently so.
And silently so.
So you have a point right there in making sure that we hold our friends accountable. Point it out. Hey, I don't think that's right. I don't think how you communicating, how you are treating this person is good for either one of us or even that person in general. Maybe look at changing your behavior, or even sometimes even taking it as far as disassociating yourself with that person so that it actually hits them that, okay, I lost a real friend because of my behavior. But also be clear as to how you're ending or why you are ending that friendship if it gets to that point.
And I think I hold a controversial stance sometimes.
Yeah.
Going back to your point of compassion and empathy. When we talk about bullying, when we talk about abuser, when we talk about perpetrator, and I think this is just the mental health professional in me. I don't know if from a personal point of view I always approach it from this, but an understanding of something needed to have happened to that abuser to be abusive. Right?
It makes sense.
And so some part of the change, and it's a hard thing to hear, but some part of the change might require holding some compassion, empathy, and understanding. And I don't think this work is for everyone, where we can all hold that I don't think that should even be an expectation. But I don't know that we can only change from one side. Somebody needs to speak to that man or woman who has those tendencies. And not everybody wants to or can be rehabilitated, but some can. And it's such a tricky conversation to have. But there are some of us who need to approach it from that angle, like, hey, you watched abuse in your house, bloodline wise, your grandparents, it's the intergenerational thing. It doesn't have to continue that way.
Yes.
Can you go get some help?
Yes.
And not everybody has to be cut off. Because if we cut everybody off, the cycle, there's a break in the chain. They don't grow, they don't learn, they don't get a different outcome. Their communities stay the same. But I do say it's not for everybody.
Yes.
It's not. You need to know whether you can work in that space or not, or if you can intervene in that space or not.
Yes. And there definitely should be organizations that offer work in that space, that do explore that space, because it's really challenging. Not enough research is even done within that space, if we're being honest. And as someone who survived GBV, it's weird that in the beginning, I also wanted to find out. You know, there was a point of understanding, trying to see things from the perpetrator's side. But then realizing that how much is it going to help me as someone who is looking towards, who actually strives to survive and not be held victim. So it also boils down to the perpetrator wanting to also change.
For sure.
So change only begins within an individual. No one can force it out of them. And hence, sometimes if push comes to shove, then you need to give people the space and the grace that they need in order for them to reflect on their own and decide whether they do need the help. So there's a gap there. There needs to be more organizations that also help with that. Our prisons offering such, is enough being done? So that's a question that lingers, and we still need answers to.
And let's be clear, understanding the other side, the perpetrator, the abuser, is not justifying the behavior.
Yes.
I want that to be clear. Understanding or researching your point of view or how you came to operate in the world in that way is not justifying bad behavior and damaging behavior.
It's working towards rehabilitation.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it. So that, as we mentioned, the family tree, if ever that person has children, maybe once they've done the work and are healing from past traumas and are able to have that honest conversation with themselves that, okay, I have a problem, and it stems from, they have the root cause of the problem, then they can come up with solutions on how they can be better and also raise children that don't follow in their footsteps.
100%.
Yes.
We can talk forever. This is a big topic. It's heavy.
It is.
It's emotional. How do you ground yourself? How do you, working with such heavy cases, get yourself out of that heaviness? Not detach, but, not keep yourself in this heavy aura all the time, because I can imagine it can get heavy.
Whew.
How do you take care of yourself?
It does. it does get heavy. How I basically take care of myself is through prayer.
Okay.
I pray a lot. I meditate in the word. I ensure that I lean in my immediate community, being my family, my friends, people who pour into me. I ensure that I also spend enough time with myself, reflecting, doing the inner work that is needed for me to be able to overflow into other people, into other people's cups, because it's not easy. It really isn't easy sitting, listening to heavy stories, heavy, sensitive information, and me being the kind of person, empathetic person that I am, sometimes I'd find myself crying alone, not because it's it's about only that person, but also realizing that this somehow is a healing journey. Not always viewing things, being subjective about things, but being objective, and also realizing that, wow, a lot of people are actually going through a lot, and I'm not the only one who's been through something like that, or it's bigger than what one can understand. But more than anything, my strength, the vision, the guidance, all comes from a bigger source than me, and that being God. So, yeah, I focus on things that pour back into me. I focus in reading scripture and meditating and prayer. That's the best way that I ground myself. And also remembering that those girls who are in undeserved situations and backgrounds are basically the reason why I started, and yeah, they also are a part of me in this whole journey.
Thank you, Kgopotso. Thank you. Can I just do my last tradition here at home, where I'm going to ask you to trust me and close your eyes and activate your five senses. Just pay attention to the sounds that you can hear, the sensation of your denim on your fingers and your hands, your sense of smell. See the images in your mind, the taste of the water in your mouth. And I want you to think out loud with us for 30 seconds. Blooming but I fly, Kgopotso Radebe. What is next for you?
Abundance, a lot of abundance. Speaking in rooms, nationally, globally, engaging with a lot more communities, going in the rural parts, engaging with girls from different countries who need the love, the support, the care, and the ear, and a sense of direction for them to understand and know that they're not walking whatever journey that they're in alone, that there are many of us who want to create as much change, who want to support them and want what's best for them. Inspiring girls in the township who feel as though they are trapped, that there be a light of some sort that sparks inside of them and reminds them and gives them hope that there's life beyond the township. There are opportunities. There's life beyond the rural areas. There are opportunities that want them as much as they want those opportunities. And they need not to limit themselves. And yeah,
Okay.
just radiating, sharing the light of hope, resilience, love, intention. I'm just visualizing me holding a candle and lighting another person's candle and having it be a domino effect where we all create light in our dark areas for each other and support each other.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You can open your eyes. Come back to us. Come back to us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope this will be insightful and helpful. And I'll see you next time.